There are roughly 20 million college students enrolled in the United States. According to a study by the Institute for Women's Policy Research, 5 million, or 25% of all college students enrolled in the U.S. have dependent children. This study also shows that after 6 years, only 30% of students with children will have graduated with a bachelor's degree. 15% of these students will have chosen to continue to pursue a degree after the 6th year. This means after 6 years, 55% of college students with children will decide to leave without obtaining a degree. So what could be causing more than half of all college students with children to not graduate? What motivates them to go to college in the first place? And what does their college experience actually look like?
My name is Clinton Knight. I am a senior. And I have 4 kids.
Be gentle. There you go. Slow down.
Hi.
Why do I go to college? Once I started having kids, I realized I should probably get a degree. I'm a firm believer that with a degree, you will give yourself more opportunities in life, especially if I want to provide for my family in the way that I would like to. My family obviously comes first, above school, above work.
This is how I got all of their books last year for the 12 days.
For the most part, we manage it pretty well. We definitely have a very strong support system, and I feel like that is what makes things possible. On Saturdays, my mom comes over. She doesn't charge us. She babysits the kids. Let's call her Momo. So Saturdays are Momo's night. Yep. And that's huge. Amy's mom and stepdad are supportive. I mean, our grandparents on both sides are very supportive. I don't know. I mean, I just have to be flexible for sure as far as managing everything. You have to be able to go along with anything, roll with the punches, and just be patient. There have been times where it's like, is this even worth it? But, I mean, they obviously are enough inspiration.
And that's not how that
I've had to take out quite a bit in loans, for sure.
comment on my cell phone.
Scholarships, grants, typical things a college kid would get.
I am the director of the Office of Diversity and Multicultural Affairs, and I also run the Center for Women and Returning Adults. With people with children, and this is especially true of mothers with children, they will graduate, but they're not going to graduate in 4 years.
My name is Megan Swadner, and I am currently a junior at IPFW. And this is my 5th year, I believe. Baby. I am in college to show my children that in order to be able to build the best building blocks for a successful life, you have to go the right route. I can't send my children the message that it's okay just to give up.
Okay. All right.
And honestly, looking at their faces and seeing why I'm doing this makes it all the more worth it.
I never realized how important it was until I became one. Hi, baby.
I generally get up with my son pretty early. I get my girls up around 6:45 and we start getting ready for school. I drop them off at school. I drive my husband to Sweetwater and come back home. I work on homework and assignments. Usually the plan is to work on them between 9 and 2. In order for me to complete my degree, it is most likely going to take hopefully just 6 years total. It might be 7. The help that I have to get through college really lies within my husband. My family, unfortunately, they all work a lot and they're not very close geographically. As far as financially, I'm 35. So at this point, my family, my parents really don't give me money. I've only been taking 9 credit hours for the past probably 3 or 4 semesters because until I had my son, I was working on top of my girls and my home. That takes up a lot of time. When I was working, I was able to find one job where I was able to drop my girls off at school, go to work, leave work, and pick them up. It saved me about $100 a week on a babysitter. Childcare for a newborn
Daddy?
is more expensive than what I was making a week. We live pretty hand to mouth. We make it work.
With people with children, it's very difficult. And I was not a single parent. I don't know how single parents do it.
My name is Stephanie Alarcon. My class standing is about a sophomore. I have a 4-year-old child. He is a boy. And his name is Trey. I am in college because of my family. My biggest motivation is that 4-year-old curly-haired little boy looking back at me.
3,
4, 5. I want him to know that he can accomplish his dreams.
Come on.
I want to set a good example for him.
Let's sit down.
I want for him to see that education is the key to achieving your dreams in this world. It's one of those things where we're trying to get to a place where we're more financially stable. A typical day in my life starts at 6:30 in the morning. First, I get myself ready. Then it is getting Trey ready for school. Once I am ready for work, I then take Trey to school, walk into school with him. I then make it to work. I work from 8:30 to 5 o'clock. I then pick Trey up. We don't make it home till about 6:30 every night. We make dinner about 7. We hang out till about 8:30, 8:45. By 9:20, he's in bed. That's when I get a little bit of me time.
Can you hold my hand, please? Can you hold my hand, please?
The type of support I receive from friends and family is huge. It is everything.
Bye. See you later.
If I did not have this support net that I have right now, I would not be able to do, whether it is my job, whether it's school when I'm taking classes.
Oh, and now you have lipstick.
I would not be able to do any of these without them. Being a parent has made things really difficult because not having the appropriate time management. This semester, I've been so overwhelmed. I have not been able to take courses or classes. If I was taking classes this semester, I believe that I would be pulling my hair out right about now.
That is not how we ask. Well, I'm sorry, but I don't understand how you're asking me. Can I have the Gatorade? Thank you. Fix that little face.
I've had to drop classes in the past, so then I've been placed on satisfactory academic progress, which then cancels your financial aid and you have to pay for everything completely out of pocket. Time management is going to play a huge role for me in the future when it comes down to me finding classes to take and actually doing well in them. If they did offer on-site childcare here at IPFW,
You want to feed
I
him?
definitely would use them.
People who persist, that people who persist and stay at it and come back every semester after semester, eventually, yes, they will get there.
My name is Cecile Beeman. I am a junior trying to acquire my general studies degree, and I have 2 boys. The reason why I'm in college is, of course, to attain a better job so I can be able to have the right finances to take care of my children. Give me the books. As a non-traditional student, my focuses are a little bit different. Just to be able to walk and say that I did it, that's what keeps me motivated. A typical day, I get up around 6:50. I get my boys dressed and ready to be on out the door by 8:30 so they can be at school for breakfast. You gotta be nice though, say hello. I'll give kisses and goodbyes and then I'm off to work. If I have homework or if I have to get dinner ready, I'm either doing both at the same time or washing clothes, cleaning the house, doing homework and trying to work all at the same time. I don't know how I do it. I went part-time, so I knew my classes wasn't going to be as expensive, so I had to kind of balance out how many classes I was going to take versus how much loan money that I needed to be able to pay for household needs and things like that. Child care on campus would be so relieving as a student. Even more opportunities and more chances to earn better scholarships to be able to pay for classes would be one. I never had just that moment with just me and my two boys. I try really hard on trying to practice balance and scheduling and things like that. Hey, pick a book. Mama got some studying to do. Come on. I fight for it sometimes. I feel like I'm never going to get out of a situation, even with school. I feel like I'm never going to get out. No, baby, pick another book. That's too big. And I've had my moments where I wanted to drop out of school just to take a break so I can be able to just focus on my kids and focus on finding a job. Put your hands together. To understand that there are students who drop out, I get it. I understand because financially you have to make sure they have the things they need and to be a parent for them. So to squeeze in school, you have to squeeze in school when you can squeeze in school. If the school could be able to implement in those ways to help those non-traditional students, it would be a bigger release off of us to be able to focus and to get our degrees on time for ourselves.
So in the state of Indiana, every public four-year institution except IU Bloomington and Purdue West Lafayette is a member of ASCU. The thing that ASCU says makes its member institutions unique is this criteria, these three criteria. One is student-centeredness, the second is access and opportunity, and the third is being stewards of place. So we are engaged with our community. If we don't take care of the people who need to have access to higher education, especially the full 4 years of a bachelor's degree, nobody else in Northeast Indiana is going to do that. Our students tend to be, I don't believe it's as much as it used to be when I first arrived at IPFW, but we have an awful lot of non-traditional students.
Most IPFW students tend to be non-traditional students in that very broad definition.
How many students on the IPFW campus have children?
We have no way of knowing the answer to that question. The information is not collected because it's not necessary information for the institution. For students like yourself who wind up with kids somewhere along the college journey, they come to college for themselves. I want. You have kids, that changes, right? They need.
As anybody who's ever raised children knows, it's extremely expensive. There's all of these things that parents have to factor into their finances, and it can be quite difficult.
With the exception of childcare, right? I believe that we are substantially meeting the needs of students who have dependent children, in as much as there are students.
And the
right?
child care issue, I think you've hit something really significant. It is for the people for whom it affects. It's huge. It's huge. It's expensive, and high quality child care is terribly expensive. People who are hurting tend to be people who don't have a family around, or friends, or the kind of income that allows you to go out and purchase high quality childcare.
We are at Purdue North Central. This is Panther Cubs Childcare. I am the director. It's kind of like a one-stop place. You bring your kid, you go to class, you can pick them up. For students, it is $2.25 an hour for one child. Through our service, they're able to stay in school rather than maybe take a semester off because they can't afford to put their child in a childcare off campus. They're able to continue their education, they're able to finish it faster, and they're able to graduate.
This is my 7th year being in school. Strong heart, no breaks, no nothing, just straight 7 years. The goal for me is to graduate 2017.
State policy is now, if you don't finish, basically if you're not on the 15 credit hour per semester track, you're no longer eligible at a certain point. If you don't finish 30 in the year, you're not eligible for the state aid.
While ITCHE, the Higher Education Commission, makes a really good point that yes, it is much more cost effective for someone to go to school for 4 years, 15 hours a semester. It may not be real practical or even possible for students who've got other things going on in their lives.
I'm taking 9 credit hours. I usually take 9 credit hours every semester. If you're expecting a parent to take 5 classes a semester, you're expecting to set somebody up either for failure in their school life or failure in their home life.
So like the students who are advantaged anyway, the students whose parents can provide a significant amount contribution to their cost of going to school, those students would be fine anyway. This won't affect them because they'd be taking 15 credits anyway and finishing in 4 years anyway. The hardworking students who try to go full time and still gut it out with work and their family responsibilities, those would be the students most harshly impacted.
It might be different if we were in an institution where almost all of our students were traditional, straight out of high school, full-time, but that's not who IPFW serves. And we have we have some of those students, but we also have a lot of working adult students, and we have a lot of people who are in between, and we have a very fundamentally blue-collar, middle-class, lower middle-class student body. Those policies that you're referencing are, that public discourse is very real, and it's very threatening to the long-term educational goals of our students. We are very concerned about this policy direction, right? It has the potential to very, very much impact our students' ability to continue to receive state support. What they're looking at is the evidence that says full-time students are more likely to succeed in terms of graduating than part-time students. But they don't look past that.
With the changes that went into effect with the 15 to finish, I think that the government or the state or whoever has voted for these things to kind of go into place is making it absolutely impossible for people who have children to finish school. I actually didn't realize that it would impact me, and it does.
I don't think the state should care whether you finish it in 2 or 4 or 8 or 108. As long as you're working on it, I think that the state's interest is in getting an educated citizenry. If that's our policy priority and that's what we say our values are, then we ought to live up to it.
If the same changes were to be made to student classification on the federal level that have recently happened at the state level, for students with children who take 12 credit hours a semester in order to graduate within 6 years, well, for those students, they would no longer qualify for full-time student loans, which would cause these students to struggle even more with something that they're already struggling to accomplish.
For a student who doesn't have kids, eat your food. They probably would take this time and already been studying for a very long time and probably would have been asleep by 10. Yeah, I really forgot I had this exam.
And if these types of policies were to be implemented at a federal level, how would students with children even make it?
My family would suffer. And this is essential for our family's success.
How would the next 4 parents make it? Ultimately, where would people with children go to get a higher education?